Hello, everyone. We're back, and this is Layers powered by the Life Outspoken movement. And what is that? That is where we give wisdom based on life experience and expression to help people advance and heal in ways we can uplift and push forward the community. So, if you've been following me and you've been paying attention to what's been going on, especially with the astro weather reports, then you heard me talking about Mars and Venus. You heard me talking about full moon and Aquarius and the energy of not only being authentic, staying true to your values, but also recognizing your uniqueness, your differences, your social surroundings, and if it supports your uniqueness and your differences. And are you expressing that and putting that into your career? Or are you allowing yourself to be hindered by society and the conditioning of society that makes you not walk in your purpose and your uniqueness? So, with that being said, the guest that I have today, which is the first guest on the show, walks in that. This is somebody who are organically attracted into my life on word of mouth of his skills to assist me with someone that needed healing in their life. This person is phenomenal in what they do. They are an inspiration to me, my healing practice, my spiritual walk. And they normally don't do this. So this is such an honor. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Greetings and love and light to everyone today. I'm thankful for Sister allowing me to take up space, time, and present to you all something that I have experienced in my walk. I first and foremost want to give praise, thanks, glory to the Most High. I won't get into calling that dynamic a name. Whatever you do, that's fine. Be where you're at with that, but I give praise and thanks to the Most High for raising me up and for allowing me to have a life experience that was on both sides of the spectrum. And today, realizing that to walk the straight and narrow is very purposeful, very meaningful, and very much on point in my life.
Let them know your name.
And my name, for some who know me from my past, is Ray Doc. Those who know me in the now reality is Raphael Doc. I'm okay with either, although I prefer Raphael. That is my new life reality, my new life beginning, and that's what I embraced. But I'm okay with either that a person chooses to express and what they call me. But most of all, I just love being called brother. That for me
Well, brother,
is grandiose.
brother. So you being a person so dynamic in your walk and assisting people in various ways with their healing process, which we're not going to get too much into because I know you don't want to do that right now. But just in the beginning, before we even dig deep on what you do or what you want to talk about, what would you say to somebody who may realize that they have gifts that's different than other people's gifts or outside of their culture or their family dynamic that has to do with healing or spirituality, especially with me also. I'm a spiritual advisor. I do tarot. That wasn't something that was in alignment with my family. That wasn't something that was in alignment with my normal group of individuals. You know, um, we talk a lot, and you have talked about different various things on that walk. So, what would you tell people that are thinking about that and willing to take that step and making it actual practice of what they do in life?
Well, how I would like to go into that, Sister Jasmine, is that we all come here for a divine purpose. I want to call it that. However, it it requires going through a period or cycle of turbulence, discord, we're born into these womb realities, or out from these womb realities that we manifest onto the planet from. And then we have a nest or house experience. And in that experience in house is where we get that beginning stage of our growth going forward. And then we're able to later on come into what I call divine self-realization or divine self-awareness. And in that mode comes what it is that you feel within your core, within your spirit, within so-called in your gut, what it is that you can bring to the people in the way of servitude. I can reflect back on, my past, what I went through and getting to this point. And what I say, and it's been a lot of discord, a lot of imbalance, energy in the family. We didn't have that divine harmony existing in the family. But I would say, wow, to that. It took all of that for me to get to this and manifest today where I'm at. So I would tell anyone, first and foremost, be seeking what your life purpose is, because we're here more than just to be born into the world, and we grow up into these stages and cycles of life, work a job, get so-called married, and then we buy a house, then we die. It's more than that. There's an integral part to that I came to realize at about the age of 22 years old. And I knew there had to be something else that made me have a higher vision of what life is. Now, did I come into it overnight? No, I did not. I still had more cycles of trauma, turbulence, disturbance to go through. And the further I went along that walk of the turbulence, the discord, the closer I was getting to my reality of what I feel now is my life purpose.
So you would say people have to get through their own personal turbulence.
Absolutely.
To be able to walk that walk.
Absolutely.
And seeing you inspire me, because I see you travel the world just on word of mouth of your, how you assist people in their healing process and the work that you do assisting them energetically. Listening to you talk about coming into new realities, the manifestation of the self. And the way I think of that and what that says to me is, for anybody that's watching this and you're wondering, how do I step out? And I'm different. I'm not hearing what I want to do in the mouths of those around me. What is spirit telling you? What is the divine moving inside of you? And the people that you care so much about what they think, are they walking in theirs? Are they walking in their divine purpose? Or are they doing what society told them to? What a good job looks like? What makes money? A degree? Are they just going through a program process, or are they just walking in their truth, their uniqueness, and their genius? Because only in that truth can you make an impact, and can you be the puzzle piece of the grand picture that moves forward life and helps the lives of others. So we were talking, and not only about, like, I'm so amazed in how you move with spirit, first and foremost, before I go to the next thing. I'm so amazed with how you just walk with that calling, you walk with that energy, you walk with that flow, and you let it guide you. I love our conversations and how you talked about how spirit takes care of you because you just do the work and you walk in service even when you didn't know how it was going to happen, you know? And I've been there. I just got into that phase, really. Stepping out, earlier this year, really? And that's scary. And I feel like you are aligned in my life to help me be more confident in that. And therefore, we pass it along because it's scary to hop out on something into the unknown just with gifts. that work, you know? And then every time you walk, it's like walking on a lake. It looks like you just go walk out and drown, but some way, every time you take a step, it's a rock there.
Mm.
We talked about, because you work a lot with energy, and how the advancement of consciousness, the heightening of your energy, which is even what you need to step out. You can't step out without that advancement of consciousness, that energetic heightening that connects you with the downloads to understand and be able to move forward. But how would you say someone can start by doing that? How does somebody heighten their frequency?
Well, Jasmine, what I would say to that is we there's a thing that's called the black sheep in a family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's generally the person that is outstandingly different. They dance to the beat of a different drummer than everyone in the family. The other family may say, you're weird, you're strange, what's wrong with you, girl? What's wrong with you, boy? But the beat that we're dancing to is the beat of God. That's what I know. Again, the Most High, whatever you want to call that, suits you, fine. But I knew for me having a large family, I knew that I was different. My mother would tell me I was different. One of my brothers shared with me what two or three of the other brothers said. They had a conversation about how I moved about. What I was made to trust the Most High, even when I wasn't comfortable with it, because I didn't understand it at that time. And generally, what we don't understand, we tend to be intimidated by it or even fear it. And there's a friend of mine, may his spirit, soul be at rest, be at peace. We were talking today, and he said to me, he said, brother, I was never comfortable with what I'm doing, but I felt the fear and did it anyway. Mm-hmm. So that fear, that false evidence appearing real, I had to deal with that because I had not connected the dots. I had not figured it out. But trusting and stepping out and then realizing that I had a point of purpose to step out for. I would tell anyone, go within. That's where you find your greater value, your highest essence. There's nothing outside of you that's greater than you except the truth. For those of you who remember the Roots movie, and he held his child up to the universe, to the stars, and said, behold, this is the only something that's greater than you. Yeah. And I claim that for myself, all the different experiences, engagements, different people, different places. I was not always comfortable. I did feel the fear stepping out on my path now, but I was not going to allow the fear to have control over me. I was going to control it.
So, if I was to get this right, what you're saying is to enhance your frequency, first you have to get past the fears and go inside and get closer to your truth.
Well,
is that the advanced frequency?
I wouldn't say get past the fear, but not let the fear freeze you to the point where you're like a deer in headlights. Just trust that you're going in the right direction. You're being fed by the Most High. And if you believe that and you internalize that, that in itself will allow you to take those steps forward.
Okay.
And
so once somebody gets past, moves through that fear, because that's what they say courage is. Not having fear, but still moving even though you have it.
Exactly.
And being connected with the Most High, being connected with divine consciousness. So after that, what would you say the next step would be that would help them raise the frequency that would allow healing in their bodies and healing in their life?
Well, I could go in a couple of directions with that. One of my favorite is seek ye first the kingdom and all of its righteousness, and all else will be added unto you. Now, what I determine that righteousness to be could be very different from a lot of people. But in that, I found the righteousness to speak truth, to think righteously, to eat in a certain way, to eat the right way. You know, all of these things were helping me to raise my frequency, therefore expanding my vibration. And
So, what's a couple examples of foods that you would eat that would heighten your frequency? And okay, I have to share this, you guys, because he has me practicing this now. He's the first person that I've seen in a grocery store actually sense out the life force energy in food to pick it and then consume. So, talk about that. Is that how people gain their like heighten their frequency and consumption?
yes, because food is real. It's real energy. It's living energy, should be. I think Americans tend to kill food by overheating it. I don't want to say cooking it because for me, I am a 10-year living food, raw food, so-called raw food vegan. This summer was my 10th year hitting that plateau. And in that experience, I've come to know that in the foods that we eat, there should be what I call the God spirit or the life force energy in the food, which is the enzymes. What I know that is the vibration, that is the energy that feeds the whole body. It gives life to the minerals, the vitamins. And my coming into that awareness, that knowledge, I sought to do what I was doing with food a different way. I had a lot of issues growing up with so-called sickness and so-called disease. And I got to a point where I was just tired of what I was going through at a young age. Medication from a doctor's at the early age of 18, 19 years old. And I knew there had to be another way. And following that divine inner spirit, I came into people who had that next level of consciousness and what we're putting in our body, the food that we're eating, the liquids we're consuming, what was low frequency foods and liquids, what was higher frequency food and liquids that we were putting in the body. Because you're going to get either this or that. And what I mean by that, what you put in the body is what you're going to attract to the body. That's as real as the nose on our face, so to speak. So if you're putting low frequency energy, the standard American diet foods, I just have to speak the truth as I know it. The standard American diet, which those of us who know call the SAD diet. If you're putting low frequency foods in your body, then what can you get? You know, what can you get other than what low frequency attracts?
A reality.
It's going to attract more of what it is.
And you know what? Now that you said that, on my personal journey, what I realized when I started to think about, okay, what do I want to eat? What do I want to do? Period. Because consumption is not just food; it's what you look at online. It's where you go. It's all of those things. So when I went through that process, the way I started to choose my food was based on how I felt afterwards. Stuff that gave me the itis was a no, because that meant that it was my body had to use too much energy to break it down rather than getting energy from it.
Right.
And then stuff that it would be times where I would just be angry out of nowhere, or I would be like depressed out of nowhere, sad. And I'm like, why do I feel like that? What did I do in the last 5 minutes to where I just felt like that? And then be like, okay, I had some chicken, or I had that Twinkie, or, you know, it's like, okay, that altered my emotional state.
Right.
Which means it put me through a chemical imbalance.
Right.
Which affected my mental health.
And I can add to this, that word hostess was the play on the mind word. Because when you think about a hostess, you think about somebody that's helping you to experience a good time. So they put hostess Twinkie when really you were not experiencing a good time.
It's a host for your parasites.
It was a setup for a setback, you know. And,
right.
But yeah, I would definitely encourage anyone to examine what we've been conditioned in, what we've been taught. We actually, the Creator gave us a formula, gave us an outlay on how to follow this divine reality of what to eat. If you look at the creation around us, you look at a tree, it's almost a carbon copy of what this body is. The tree has veins in the leaves. We have veins. The tree has a trunk. We have a trunk. Inside, and we'll take it now to the next level. When you look at what's inside of these green leaves, they have blood like we have blood. Their blood is the chlorophyll, okay? And us, the blood is hemoglobin, and the chief component in it is iron, and the plant is magnesium. We have a kindred, synergistically reality with the plant world and our body,
Not to mention
our brain.
Right. And you think of the trees. I like to always bring this to it too, because people make fun of like tree huggers and people going into nature. But God created us in unison with the trees, because the trees breathe in the carbon dioxide and they exhale oxygen while we do the opposite. So we're in complete unison and alignment with the trees. So to even make that analysis and comparisons you just did is beautiful, because people need to understand that we are in complete alignment and balance with everything that is living.
Exactly. Exactly. I would even add to that to say that for me, when I became aware enough to start giving attention to the creation around me, and I would look at these little creatures and how they moved about. I mean, I ask people, have you ever seen a squirrel limping down the street? You know, with patches of hair missing, gray hair, and how do they eat? Absolutely, they eat.
I've never seen an old squirrel.
They eat the
Like-
life force. They eat the life force that's in their environment. And I said, well, if we're in this same mode of creation, well, wouldn't that serve my greater good to do what they do, to enhance their vibration, their frequency? It made creation sense to me.
It just made me think of something. I was having a conversation with somebody about a year ago, and we were talking about what we would do if we were lost on an island, right? And they were like, what would you, and then the question was, it was like, would you hunt, or would you do this, or would you do that, right? And then I thought about it, and I'm like, the first thing I would do besides gather things that have shelter is follow the animals. Because the animals have already been living here and surviving. How? Don't just eat up the animals.
Right.
You need to watch them and see what they eat, what they don't eat, what they stay away from.
Right.
What's happening with because they'll tell you when the weather is about to change.
Absolutely.
You know, they're already in tune into this
We're
space.
paying attention, we will get that message.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's how we should look at everyday life.
Absolutely.
Because that's a reciprocity mindset.
Right.
You know, the give and receive rather than just take. Because if you come into life, into any space and just consume it, there's nothing there. But if you come in with and respect it, observe it, live in it, you learn from it and become it.
Exactly. Well, what I can also add to that, sister, is that we have a lot of sickness, suffering, and disease, especially in the so-called Black communities. I don't like that word as describing an ethnicity.
Right.
That's the color of a crayon or color of a car. That's not
But just
what
to talk to
defines who we are.
the higher numbers that'll be watching.
However, we tend to lead the pack when it comes to all these different sicknesses, so-called diseases. And there's a reason why. Because we got off a divine path. When we ate, we go back in the annals of time, you know, before the advent of fire. what were we eating? And what I know is we pulled something out of the ground, we picked it off a bush, or we pulled it down off a tree.
Mm-hmm.
That was what was put on the earth for us to eat. Then we came into the knowledge of the herbs, the superfoods. And I want to say this, and this is to no slighting or disrespect to any person that's in the herb world. That's what they teach, is what they do. But what I know is herbs, like all food should be, is a living energy.
Mm.
How that energy expresses out in your body depends on where your spirit is at.
Mm.
If your spirit is foul, sour, that you will never get that energy from that living herb. It will hold back its life force because your spirit and its energy does not mesh together.
I was just talking about this on Instagram on a live, and I was talking about entheogens. We're not going to get into entheogens right now, but you guys, we on to something here. Okay, continue.
And so the same with food. If the food is, and it should be living energy in the food, well, I would have to say most of these foods are tainted today. Most of the water is tainted. But now, what do we do to do the best that we can do?
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So when you talk about herbs and it has to be living, but we both also use powders.
Yes.
So how would you talk about that?
Well, I call those powders. I do personally chlorella, spirulina, moringa, which I rate very, very high in my food group. They have a next level of stored up energy in them.
So the
And when we
energy is
consume
stored.
them,
Okay.
they're pretty much going to do what they do, in the body. Again, I'm more of a superfood person than I am a herb person
Okay.
because all herbs don't work the same for everybody. And then what I know from my own experience, it takes some herbs 30, 60 days or more just to get in your system, not to start giving their energy to the body. So for me, the moringa is probably like almost like a do-all because it gives you all your basic nutrients, your minerals, your enzymes, your vitamins. I think for me, if I were able to sustain myself without whole food, I would choose moringa over food any day of the week. What we know it to be food that we've
So-
consumed in our diets.
So
or
for
live
the people watching this that are in a state of not knowing where to start, a good place to start when you don't know what foods to cook or how to shop is adding things that you can put in a smoothie. It's a one-stop shop and keep going.
Grand.
And moringa is one of those things. If you live out here, then you can go visit Dr. Goss in Compton. If you have your own herb stores where you can get your powders or get your raw herbs and plants to put in your stuff, go with that. And what I think he's saying is if you want to be preventative and not even go down the ill path, then moringa and some of these things are something you should put into your diet and the whole foods into your diet because it's a harder process going through the medicinal path and the herbal in the herbal path of healing something. Fixing something is always harder than maintaining. So maintain every day so we don't have to get into fixing.
Exactly. I will give a shout out to a amazing brother that I listen to very regularly. I myself, I have a basic understanding of the body, the anatomy. My word is that how can you take care of your body the right way if you don't know your body? But Brother Yakai Awakened, dynamic young man, very knowledgeable, very impactful. The information that he imparts to people on a regular basis. And I like the fact that he's ground floor. I find him, I haven't seen the ego, the arrogance in this brother. And for me, I believe that I'm equipped with more knowledge about the body than the average person. But when I listen to this brother, it helps me to evolve to another level. So I'm giving, shout out and appreciation for this young man, and knowing that it's not easy to work with our people, for one, or people in general. And then the fact that there's people pushing up on you, people that don't want to see you here speaking truth, speaking what the Most High has given us to sustain ourselves. So I have a lot of admiration for him. Myself, I was a bit concerned, stepping out, doing what I do, because I do different modalities to help a person to restore, regenerate, their body, their emotions. And I use what I've been given, what I call my gift. I use that in my working with people in general. And I know what that is. I know how uncomfortable it could be when you lay down at night, what goes through your head, and you're giving thought to what could be your reality that you step into tomorrow. I do believe that raising the vibration, again, through thought, through food, what we speak out of our mouths, the words that you speak, are you speaking low frequency energy? And I'm not going to go deep into it, but in what we call some of the languages of God, Hebrew, Aramaic, you can't form curse words in those languages. So it's very, because they're low, it's low vibration frequency. And what we have to realize is that everything we think, do, say, what we send into the cells even, it's going to determine and dictate how our life expresses out. So I would tell anybody, get your foundation together. Get that foundation laid out. Make sure it's strong enough that you can erect your building on that foundation. If the foundation is haphazard, what is your life going to be? Balance, you have to have balance. Balance manifests harmony. Harmony manifests manifestation. So what are you doing to balance yourself? What are you doing that you can create this, I call divine harmony? Even in your relationships, it matters. That divine harmony, that balance, that yin-yang dynamic, the divine feminine, the divine masculine. How are you engaging with people in your life in general, coming out of that spirit? That everything in the universe revolves around. Without it, your life cannot be 360-degree complete. So myself given thought to how that factored into my life, and now that it's factored in, what am I going to do with it?
Right.
So it led me to want to, and it's a thing I really, this disturbs me a lot, because, a thing that people will quickly cry is, oh, well, you perfect? So you perfect?
We go through that a lot.
I'm not going to go deep into that, but, that's just something that doesn't set well with me, because people don't understand what they're saying when they say, are you, well, what, you perfect? There was a man that said to someone in his audience that asked him, are you perfect? He said, well, I answer you like this. I'm perfect enough for you.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And I like that you even added that, because people will manifest their own perfection. You can only be perfect in your own design.
Exactly.
Number one. Number two, people like to attack people based on the work they're not willing to do.
Exactly.
If they see somebody stepping out and they have a big dream or a big goal, why do you think you could do that? Why don't you? If you're doing something, or you're doing something that's healing, that's beyond a lot of people's state of conscious to even understand what you do. Same thing with me, and you get a lot of pushback. You get a lot of, because in some religions, how it's talked about, some people think that they don't get the whole point. And they think just because there's a lot of emphasis on what somebody did in the different doctrines, they miss the point that this is what we all can do if you do the work.
Exactly.
It's not just this person or that person. Because what happens is when you have these conversations, they're like, you think you special? Like you can do this or you can do that. And it's like, no, this is just my gift
But
and my
we are.
walk.
We are special. If you don't claim being special, then what are you here for?
Ooh.
And then another itch for me is, well, you got to die from something, or it runs in the family. Well, the reason is running in the family because nobody took the running shoes off. So what you need to
Let's
do,
go.
well, diabetes runs in the family. Oh, really? So that means you're eating some foods, most likely, that has had a low vibrations, low frequency effect in your lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the person that wakes up and says, aha,
I'm going to do something different.
I'm going to do something different than what these people are doing as far as dietary, primarily, and realize that diabetes is not an issue that they have. Well, they just took the running shoes off. So that running in the family, it's only because nobody has addressed it to the next level to change the effect, the ill effect of what it's causing in the family lineage. Because if the spirit of divine is what's at the top, then it should permeate all the way to the bottom. There should not be this so-called sickness, so-called disease. But we find that people now even think like, well, at 50 years old, you should be on meds. You should be in the doctor's office once a month. I got to go get my certain pills. I got to go get my some pills. And that's not how we should. That's not how we
I
should
like
live
that
our
you
lives.
said that because I forgot who I was talking to the other day. I don't know if it was you or somebody else, but we were talking about how if people actually did what they were supposed to do and how the body regenerates itself when it's fed, right? Because this is a biological suit that we inhabit, you know, and it's very intelligent. It's very high tech material, and it can keep going. And if we did what we were supposed to do to keep it up, it wouldn't be a matter of it breaking down as why we transcend. We would be choosing when we did because everybody around us may have already perished or have already made that step in life. It's like, okay, even the wisdom I have now or the fun I had, I had nobody to share it with, it would be a decision. Like, okay, I did what I was supposed to do here rather than everything's breaking down. Because it's not designed like that. We do it. What do you think about that?
Well,
and then we're going to kind of close it out because we're getting
sure.
time. Okay.
I would say, sister, we have to, again, as I mentioned earlier, there's nothing outside of us that's greater than us except the truth. I'm not a crystal stone person because you are the crystal. And your divineness, when it's manifested on that level, you're everything and more than what a crystal could ever be. I believe myself, this is where I'm at. Now, where anybody else, that's on them. Certain things we were loaned. It was loaned to us until we found our way back. Remember who we are. Once we remember who we are, and we come into the knowledge and awareness how to raise that frequency, expand that righteous, that conscious vibration, we don't need any apparatus. We don't need a stone. We don't need a crystal because we are the walking, living expression of what divine essence is. Mm-hmm. And everything is under that umbrella. Yes.
So for those of you like myself who utilize crystals in your healing practice, me being a crystal therapist, I'm going to translate more of what he's saying right now. He used crystals as an example, but he's talking about a lot of things because this is a man who doesn't even drink water the way other people do. He gets it from his food. So we utilize different minerals that we have access to, like crystals, like plants, like all kinds of things. Some of you utilize copper. Some of you utilize platinum and gold to maintain and balance your energy as the ancients did. And throughout time, we have utilized various tools to help us balance our energy and to enhance it at certain times. But what he's saying is, when you get to a certain way in your path, it's not about needing it to do it. It's about understanding that it's there if needed. You know what I mean? or to be utilized here or there. But when you walk even like a monk's path, because I'm gonna say this really quick before we close out. Because I watched it, I say this all the time. You're probably gonna hear me talk about this story over and over again. Because I watched a documentary on monks, and they showed how these people were controlling their energy, how they can make it heated in snow temperatures, how they can freeze it in desert temperatures. And that's what you're talking about. That's the God body that you're talking about. And we have the ability. Now, the average person watching this, do you know how to do that? No. The average person, the level of work you will have to do to be able to do that, will you in this lifetime? 99% of you watching this probably will not. Is it possible? Yes. It is very possible. And that's what he's talking about. That's why he's able to affect people's lives the way he does, because he does the work.
I would like to touch on that with the water real quick. For me, it's been about 3 years, and I probably, like literally, I don't drink a glass of water a week. I do it to take some of my products that I do take. But in the fruit especially, is living water. Now, living water, I call again the Spirit of God in the water. Mm-hmm. That water not only restores you physically when it's hydrating, but it restores your spirit. It feeds your spirit self. Now, mind you, the creator of this is complete. So anything that manifests out of that dynamic is complete. And what it does for the temple, I'd rather call it a temple than the body. I think body is a term that's, for me, it really doesn't.
Lower vibration.
It does lower vibration. It doesn't
See,
give.
you don't like mine because I call it a soup.
Dynamic to what this really is. So, when we put this living energy, this life substance called water, mm-hmm. it's going to restore, regenerate the spirit self. It's going to restore, regenerate the physical self. Mm-hmm. That's what it does. And so for me, I find that to be in the fruits, in the water. A lot of us, my brother says, again, Yakai Awaken, a lot of us are naturally fruitarians. We just don't know that. That information, that knowledge was taken away from us. We weren't a people that just ate whatever, whenever. We had substance. Mm-hmm. We had a formula that's divine in how we engage with this temple.
Before you finish that thought, I want to make sure the viewers know. Now, while he's giving this information, I know a lot of you are thinking, well, based on my blood type, I'm supposed to eat this, or I'm supposed to do this. Okay, he's not talking about you. Now, I know, and I'm very aware that a lot of indigenous people in different cultures, they ate meat, they ate different things on certain parts of the year, and they did sacred ceremonies because it's not something they always did. They utilized every part of the animal to move forward. Noted, right? He's talking about the people who didn't do that, who don't need to do that. So some people are fruitarians. Continue.
Okay, so get back to the water. People, there is a formula to drinking water even. We have people that are bothered a lot with acid reflux, acid indigestion, heartburn, diverticulitis. Basically, that is from improper digestion, and it's aided by how we drink water. We should only drink when we're thirsty. And the eating, how the eating and the water come together, we should not drink water while we're eating food, because what you do is
I learned that in yoga school.
You disrupt the divine digestive process, which starts with the saliva in the mouth. The enzymes and the acids in the saliva starts breaking down the food, preparing it for the esophagus, the digestive tract in general. When you so-called wash food down, we don't have to do that.
Our body's made like that.
I mean, the creator did not make any mistakes.
No mistakes.
No mistakes were made.
I'm sorry. I call it a suit because I'm inhabiting this. And people have to understand that we are not the mind. We are not the body. we are something else that utilizes these things. We utilize this computer, we utilize this, and this is highly intelligent and well designed.
Yes.
Like everything that we needed to do, it can do.
Yes.
We don't even have to speak if we don't want to.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I call
Like,
that using your spirit vibration to cause change and manifest effect.
right.
Brings another
But
reality.
it's so much that works against those processes and that we're conditioned with, like what you're talking about right now. It's even down to just washing things down.
Again, we got off the divine path and we're paying a price. The chastisement that we brought on ourselves because we got off the divine path. People, if you want to get past a lot of the acid reflux, two things. Don't eat late at night. You shouldn't get up out of bed at 1 o'clock and go eat cake and ice cream. You're going to have a problem. You should not drink anything while you're eating a meal. Ideally, you want to wait, depending on what your dietary reality is, 45 minutes to maybe an hour, hour and a half before you consume any liquid so you can go through this divine digestive process, okay? And then we should wait at least an hour before we do anything. And so now what the message you send to the body is, I'm working in unison with you. Mm-hmm. We're in harmony. We're going to do this thing together.
So to close it out, first and foremost, thank you so much for all that information. Thank you so much for the time.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
In your presence, I know you don't even usually do this. So this is such an honor.
This is a first for me. Absolutely.
I am so happy to be a part of that in your story. Like really. And you are inspiration on my walk.
Thank you. And many have been with me as well. I can go back in my past and thank many people that were there, giving and parting.
And hopefully this won't be the last time that we see you.
Yes, I would hope not. But I would like to take the time before we close out to read something that I thought was very integral, very touching.
Okay.
And this person was one of the so-called it people in the society who no longer is amongst the people, Stephen Jobs.
Okay.
Stephen Jobs, if I'm not mistaken, he was the founder of Apple. Very intelligent. Some called him a genius. Very so-called wealthy. And Stephen Jobs left this for those who would give value to it and meaning, because it certainly has purpose. And I want to share that with you all, and what this man realized at this point where he knew he had came to a physical ending of life. And so I'm going to go into that now. Stephen Jobs dies a billionaire with a fortune of $7 billion. At the age of 56 from pancreatic cancer, and here are some of his last words. In other eyes, my life is the essence of success. But aside from work, I have a little joy. And in the end, wealth is just a fact of life to which I am accustomed. At this moment, lying on the bed, sick and remembering all my life, I realize that all my recognition and wealth that I have is meaningless in the face of imminent death. You can hire someone to drive a car for you, make money for you, but you cannot rent someone to carry the disease for you. One can find material things, but there is one thing that cannot be found when it is lost, and that is life. Treat yourself well and cherish others. As we get older, we're smarter, and we slowly realize that the watch is worth $30 or $300. Both of them would show the same time. Whether we carry a purse worth $30 or $300, the amount of money in the wallets are the same. Whether we drive a car worth $150,000 or a car worth $30,000, the road and distance are the same. We reach the same destination. If we drink a bottle worth $300 or wine worth $10, the stroller will be the same. If the house we live in is 300 square meters or 3,000 square meters, the loneliness is the same. Your true happiness does not come from the material things of this world. Whether you find first class or economy class, if the plane crashes, you crash with it. So I hope you understand that when you have friends or someone to talk to, this is true happiness. I wanted to be able to share that with people and know that this man who was worth so much monetarily realized that he could have did it a different way in how he expressed out in his life. And again, I want to thank Sister Jasmine. I'm sure we'll have some more personal
Yes, yes, yes.
conversations about this. I would hope that I was inspiring, encouraging for someone. And just so I can say that as a raw food vegan, I eat no animal of flesh of any kind. I don't go back and forth with people about what they do with fish and uh, those things that they choose. But for me, I choose to do it this way because this way works for me. It works majorly. It makes creation sense for me. So
Creations.
find out who you are, what your life purpose is. And that's not always what you're passionate about. That's not always your life purpose. Try to find your life purpose, and therein you will find the inner spirit of God.
Go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. Find your
you're
life
very welcome.
purpose, and then you will find the inner spirit of God. That
Yeah,
is the
so
perfect closing message. Thank you.
you're very welcome. Thank
I
you.
won't even
I
add another
appreciate you and
message
the
to
brother.
that.
You know,
And thank you guys so much for tuning in again to Life Outspoken. This was Layers. I do have another segment I'm going to add to this because if those of you who have been watching this over the years, you know that it started off with lyricism and breaking some things down. And I actually have a health um, bar segment that I did in a battle that I'm going to share with you. So, peace and love to you all. I will see you again next time. And thank you again for tuning in.